Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on the Englicious website focusing on primary resources. First, I'll give you an introduction to the Englicious website. The Englicious project is about helping teachers and pupils improve their grammar, given the greater focus on English grammar in the national curriculum. There's lots and lots of sources about this out there already on the web, but Englicious is created by linguistic experts at UCL and is specifically tailored to the current national curriculum. Now, this video is going to focus on resources relevant to primary teaching, and after a quick introduction, I'll show you a starter, a couple of lesson activities, and then something you can use for the Key Stage 2 SATs tests. So this is their homepage you see when you first go to the Englicious site. A bit more background and information on the project there. All the resources on the site are free, but to gain complete access to those resources, you do need to make a free account, which you do from this button in the top right corner, and you make an account simply with your email address and password. And after you've done that, you'll be signed up to our newsletter and you'll be able to access all the resources on the Englicious website for free. So after you've made your account, then you can access all the resources. So you can click either of those buttons at the top or middle of the page, and this takes you to the main resources page. There's a couple of ways to navigate that, so I'm going to show you how to find the resources you're interested in. You can see you've got quite a long list there of different resources. One way you can search resources is by category. So on the right hand side you can see we have level, primary, secondary, language in use. We also have by different grammatical topics, and finally by content type. So that's whether it's a starter, an activity, an assessment. Since this video is focusing on primary, we're going to start by choosing primary on the right hand side. So now you should be able to see that primary has appeared as a tag at the top of the list of resources. So all the resources we're looking at now are primary, and we're going to take a look at a starter first. So we choose compound word creation, click look at resource, and now we get a page of instructions. This is for parents, teachers, whoever gives a bit of explanation on how to use the resource. Let's click activity 1 and jump straight into the activity. So you can see that this is an interactive activity about combining words into compound words. And the good thing about resources like this is that they're very interactive. So you bring two words together to connect them, double click to take them apart. So let's have a go at completing this. Simply drag and drop, connect the two words that seem to fit and create a new compound noun. If we're a bit stuck, we can click give me a clue, and we can also get instant feedback about that. And we scroll down to see we got 4 out of 5 all correct, but we did ask for a clue. And then at the bottom of the page you can see it says try again, new examples. So we click that, it generates some brand new examples so we can keep practicing and generating new activities. Okay, so now we're back on the main page, and you can see we still have primary selected. So we're going to use the index on the right hand side to dig in a bit further. So we can look at word class, select noun. So now we're looking at all the primary activities about nouns, and within that we can choose lessons. So now we're looking specifically at primary lessons about nouns. So we can expect these lesson activities to be a bit longer than the starter. We'll pick one, for example, the noun phrase generator. So you can see here on the instruction page, we have goals and a slightly longer lesson plan with lots of ideas about how to turn this into a longer lesson, how to exploit that, draw out the discussion. Again, this is something for parents and teachers to look at. You can read that in your own time. for now, let's jump into the activity. There's the arrow at the bottom, but on the right-hand side, we also have these options, related activities, and everything from this unit. So we can jump straight into the activity from there. Now this looks familiar, but we'll just try something different. The whiteboard button on the top right brings a pop-up, and now the activity is ready to show on a whiteboard or an interactive whiteboard. So the pupils can get up and really use their hands and move things around and get involved. So let's take a look at how we can make use of this activity. So along the top, we can play around with the order of the words or the syntax, and then ask the pupils to move that around in a way until it makes sense. So every who laughed at me furniture is not sounding like it makes sense at the moment. Every furniture who laughed at me noisy, I think we still need to move that adjective up the order. So now we have the syntax right, we can play around with making different phrases. It's up to you if you want to make phrases that make sense, phrases that are nonsensical and silly. Let's see what we can come up with. Every noisy boy who laughed at me, that sounds good. Each mouldy t-shirt in the cupboard, not very pleasant, but sounds grammatical. This green coin with curly hair, don't think coin's the best choice for that one, so let's see what else we can find. This green comedian with curly hair just about makes sense. So you can see there's a lot you can do to play around with that. Pupils could illustrate the noun phrases that they come up with. Okay, so now back on the main page, I'll just show you a couple more things. Let's remove the tags lesson and noun and try using the search function instead. So I'll type in a grammatical term, or a couple of grammatical terms, subject and verb, and let's see what we can find in primary about this. So here we have a lesson on subject-verb agreement. Click View Resource, and you can see the familiar layout, the goals, the lesson plan. Instead of showing you the activity, I'm going to show you a different feature of the Englicious website. All the underlined and bold words are recorded in the glossary. So if you click and mouse over those words, you'll get a definition of what that means. So if parents and teachers are using this and they're unfamiliar with a term, they can look it up very easily. And you can see that this one is in the National Curriculum glossary. So there's actually another way to get to that glossary. If you scroll to the top of the page, it doesn't matter which page you're on, you should see this glossary button at the top. This brings you to the full glossary. So you scroll down and we've got this long list of relevant terminology. And as I mentioned, many of these terms are from the current national curriculum glossary. We have some other words which aren't included but are useful words to understand. Let's jump to M, main clause. And within these definitions, we can still put our mouse on any terms we might not be familiar with. What's a lexical verb? Click the plus button and we get a bit more of an in-depth definition. Okay, I have one last resource to show you today. To find this resource, we're actually going to remove those tags at the top of the page. And now we're still looking in primary, but this time we're going to dig into Key Stage 2, Year 6, and then there's a Year 6 GPaS test section. So these resources are all designed for the Key Stage 2 SATs grammar, punctuation and spelling test. We have a few different topics covered. Let's pick one for example. Active or passive. Next, view resource. And again, we get the familiar page. No instructions, this isn't a teaching tool, but we can test our knowledge. And again, this could be projected on a whiteboard, but let's just have a go at this activity. So do we know the difference which sentences are active and which ones are passive. So we've not done that well. We got one wrong there. The button at the bottom of the page says try again, new examples, and this generates a new list of 3 sentences. Now these aren't artificial, the cat sat on the mat sentences. These are all genuine English sentences that are taken from the corpus that have been used in a real life text at some point. So we can generate lots of new examples of real life language. So let's have another go at this, and hopefully this time we'll do a bit better. So again, instant feedback, a bit of positive affirmation, and you can keep clicking that try again button and generate new authentic examples. That's it for this tutorial. Hopefully that's given you some ideas, and there are so many other resources which we don't have time to look at. I'll make a video like this for secondary soon. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to us on Twitter. We offer lots of other free resources, CPD, inset days, podcasts, so lots to explore. Cheers.